distribution provided by Cloud Sigma, the cloud that adapts to you.
Today's episode of This Week in Startups is brought to you by Audible.com, a leading provider of spoken audio information and entertainment. Listen to audiobooks whenever and wherever you want. Visit audible.com/twist for your free audiobook. And by Walker Corporate Law, a boutique corporate law firm specializing in the representation of entrepreneurs. For more information, visit them at walkercorporatelaw.com.
Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Jason Kalganis. This is This Week in Startups. If you haven't been here, where the hell have you been? We've done 370 episodes or something like that. I'm at the D Conference. This is a conference where the top minds, creatives, business people, venture capitalists, investors come to talk tech for 3 days. Great speakers. Yves Behar is with me. He has done a lot of great projects that you've heard of, like One Laptop Per Child, with Nicholas Negroponte, Jawbone, Coca-Cola, iGoogle, BMW, tons of stuff. Product identities at Apple and HP. And today on the program, he's going to show us his latest company, August. And the name of the product is the
August Smart Lock.
The Smart Lock. And it's a beautiful product, and it really wowed audiences and got thousands of people to order it in the moments after it was launched. Stick with us after these important words from our sponsors. Hey everybody, what a great episode of This Week in Startups, and I am so happy to tell you about our sponsor today. It's Audible. Audible, yes. Oh, Audible. I love Audible. I've been using it for years. I have a platinum subscription, and I get audiobooks. They're on my iPhone, they're on my iPad, and I use them all day long. When I drive to work in the morning, when I drive home, I use that time to learn and improve myself. And they have over 100,000 titles in every genre. And it's amazing. You can automatically sync these books between a Kindle, your iPhone, anything, the web. And my choice today, and this is not a technology book, but this shows you the range, is All Over But the Shoutin' by Rick Bragg. It's his, basically his autobiography. It's so touching, it's so deep, and you can go see the reviews on it. They're extraordinary. But All Over But the Shouting, I guarantee you, you will love this. And after you listen to it, I want to talk to you about the book because it was very moving to me. And just for our audience, and people have been taking advantage of this, a free audiobook. That's right. You can get a free audiobook. And this one is a great one. And there's many other great. You can get Lean In, from Sheryl Sandberg. Other great books are out there like Good to Great. Just fantastic books on Audible. Books that are going to make you World War Z, actually. I listened to the audiobook and then I saw the movie. Like 5% as good as the audiobook. Audiobook, extraordinary for World War Z. But today's is going to be everything over but the shouting. You can get this 30-day free trial and a free book just by going to audible.com/twist. 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 And we're having an iPad contest. So if you join Audible and you send an email to audible@launch.co, you will get entered into an iPad mini drawing. And I use my iPad mini with Audible. So I have my phone and my iPad mini. Both of them have Audible on it. Actually, my Samsung also has Audible on it. What that means is it keeps my place in the book on cross devices. I love that. And when I'm on a flight, a lot of times I use my iPad because the battery in that thing lasts forever, and I can listen to a book, and I don't want to drain my phone battery. So anyway, it works great, and send your receipt to audible@launch.co, and we'll put you in that contest. Go ahead and thank at audible_.com and put in audible.com/twist to tell your friends to get that free book. You will love it. It'll make you smart, and I just love the fact that when I'm on a flight or I'm on a plane, I'm on a bus or like driving, I just always have something awesome to listen to that's either entertaining or makes me a better CEO and founder and entrepreneur. Let's get back to this great program. Hey, everybody. Okay, so Yves Behar, you're here, finally. You're the Chief Creative Officer for Haas's company, Jawbone.
At Jawbone, yep, for the last 11 years.
But you've also got your own design firm.
I have a design firm named Fuse Project.
Right.
We're 65 people, and we work across all fields of design. So whether it's industrial design, which a lot of people know about,
yeah,
or building a brand, finding a name, creating packaging, UI, UX. We like to build businesses with design, which means we have to be varied in our practices.
And you've been at this for over a decade?
I've been doing this for a long time, about 20 years.
20 years.
I founded Fuse Project 13 years ago.
Design has become the driving force in startups today. It wasn't always like that.
It definitely wasn't. When I started working in Silicon Valley in 93, 94, it was very hard to convince people to do design or to do good design. I mean, I would walk into meetings and the first thing people would ask is, what's the ROI on design? There was nothing like that. But at the same time, I knew it then. I knew that technology was only going to have its deepest impact if design was going to be a participant to it. Whether it's the experience, whether it's the way the product fits in your life, whether it's how you experience it at retail. It needed to be there, and it wasn't there then.
What changed between 1993 and now 2013, where design wasn't even in part of the discussion? It wouldn't even make it to the discussion of the product, to now where product discussions start with design.
Yep.
What changed in the last 20 years?
I think two things changed. One, we did get an education, meaning we, the people, the public, and the industry.
Consumers, yeah.
Consumers did get an education, and the industry got schooled a little bit by Steve Jobs, and so we owe him as designers, but also as consumers, we owe him, to really push the experiences, to push the design to be fully integrated, throughout the product all the way to retail, and then the other part is the consumer really became demanding of this. I mean, the consumer has no patience for, disconnected experiences. They want experiences that are fully figured out. And so now, as you said, design is at the core. It's a core function of any business. As much as finance or marketing or engineering, it's a core function that you really need to consider,
and really,
that way.
As a designer, you pin it on Steve Jobs. That was the change, and people saw Steve Jobs have such massive success with design-led engineering, design-led company, that it changed the world.
It changed my world. It changed the world, and it changed the world of design, and it changed the world of startups. Yeah. Companies used to do that a lot. I mean, I work a lot with Herman Miller. It's one of my partners.
Sure.
And, since the 40s, 50s, the people that were influencing and guiding the company, George Nelson and Charles Eames, were there, where, they were giving them the keys to everything they knew how to do. And then we forgot that in the 80s and 90s. This is, the era of marketing. And suddenly marketing became what companies saw as kind of the guiding lights for all creative decisions. And now it's switching back. So I'm calling this time the golden age of design again.
Yeah, and Japan was a very big part of design in the 80s and 90s. In the early 90s, when I guess you and I were coming up, we seemed to be a similar age, Sony was the leader in design.
They were. I mean, Sony and Sony style, was...
Yeah, wow, look at that. We have just lest anybody think that this is not being recorded and that was a fake backdrop. That was the Coast Guard going by. But I don't know if anybody heard anything there, but we were talking about Sony during that sort of almost like a dark period of design when sort of people forgot about it. Or was that the start of something? Because was the Walkman a well-designed product or not?
Well, the Walkman was a game-changing product because it put music in a portable format, right?
But design-wise?
Design-wise, it was pretty good. I mean, I got the first Walkman that was an awesome gift when I was maybe 12 or 13.
83,
it was
84, 82, something like that.
It was an incredible gift. Yes. And I got the first Walkman, and it was blue. It was aluminum.
Mind-blowing.
It had sort of comfortable headsets. It had funny buttons, like, instead of removing your headsets, it had a talk button. So if somebody else was connected, they had two jacks in there, which is, by the way, something I miss in all my devices. I want two jacks because I want somebody else to listen.
You can buy that at Radio Shack. There's a little Y splitter. I have 10 of them.
But that was something very human. They were like, oh, we're going to put these headsets on, but let's put two jacks in there so two people can talk. But then the way these two people would talk would be through a microphone. It was a little orange switch on top. Which
Bizarre,
because you could just remove the headsets and start talking.
That's like Japanese thinking, right? It's like sometimes they do interesting things. But what have you been influenced the most by design-wise?
I've really been influenced by people who, again, in the 40s and 50s, were building businesses by design, were completely changing their route, completely changing the destination.
And that was furniture, wasn't it? A lot of it was
furniture? It was a lot of furniture.
Appliances?
Mostly furniture. I mean, Raymond Loewy was doing other, more transportation and appliances. But furniture was changing because we were living differently. The formality of a living room was changing. And so Charles Eames was creating objects that were much more relaxed, much more casual, that were easy to move around.
Right.
He was using new technology, new materials, in a way that had never been used, in furniture. So in many ways, a lot of designers are influenced by Herman Miller and the Eames, the Eames phenomenon. But it's really something that we are starting to see be applied to other fields, such as technology.
Architecture and magazine typography also went through a great revolution in that time period, 50s, 60s, and even into the 70s.
Yeah,
Were you
absolutely.
influenced by that as well?
So I look at a lot of architecture. I practice some architecture as well.
You laugh because you feel like
because
you
it's
don't do it
something-
so well?
No, it's something I do for myself. I don't kind of put it.
You don't
out
sell
there
that
so
service.
much. I don't sell that service, but it's a place of personal experimentation, right? It's my sandbox. So architecture and the art world in general is very influential on my work, and was very influential when I was in school as well.
What do you think is at the core of truly great design?
I think truly great design considers is a shift at a particular time, and in many ways it expresses the way people want to live, or the way they want to move on to something different, something new. It really represents an era. The Aaron chair, by Herman Miller, represented a certain era of ergonomics and everybody having a comfortable chair rather than
Almost like individually deserving it, and like
exactly.
it was a celebration of the individual's work in a way.
Right.
Like that
And
was a status symbol.
It was a status symbol, but for many people, right? Whereas before, managers had the leather chair, and then employees had
The really cotton bad.
the bad wool foam chair, right?
Yeah.
And so that's an example of the early '90s, of a symbolic design. And if you look at going back to the Eameses, the aluminum group chairs,
Yeah.
or the LCWs, LC2s, those were game-changing products as well. So I think it represents a certain era and a moment of change in time.
In the Walkman and the iPod,
And the Walkman and the
certainly
iPod. And
do
of course,
make great
of course.
bookmarks for design.
Yep, absolutely.
So, in your career, what do you feel was your best moment as a designer? I mean, I hate to ask you that heavy question as like one of
Right.
the first questions in an interview.
Well, I always think it's in front of me. That said, there's been some beautiful moments, some moments that I feel I was a part of something special and important. Certainly the $100 laptop, really a project that has shown that
one laptop per child.
One laptop per child.
Yeah, Nicholas Negroponte worked with you.
He came to see me in my office, and we became instant kind of partners in this. And it was the first time somebody was really designing for a nonprofit a product that kids would get for free, a piece of technology that kids would get for free, not a hand-me-down, not something that's just converted, something that's brand new, that's beautiful, that has the right technology for this audience. And that was a special moment. It's still a special moment. I mean, I still get letters and pictures every week of the 3 million
Special on
kids
two
who
levels:
are using
the
it.
impact of the product and the mission, but also the design. I guess it must have felt great to do.
The design was a unique problem, and it was one where we had to break all the rules. Our only rule was on every feature and on every design element was, are the kids going to love it? And that's rare.
There's a
right?
benchmark.
That's a benchmark.
Yeah.
And so we only put in there things that we believed the kids would love, and we only designed it in that way. And we didn't want it to look like or feel like a toy, and it couldn't look like a serious an adult computer. It had to really look like something in between, and the kids would identify with. And it's amazing to see how, the minute they see it, they know it's for them. It's going to have a big place in their life. You can see that right away.
I've only held it twice in my life, and it was 5, 6, or 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And I could describe it.
Mm-hmm.
2 green antennas that flipped up for the mesh.
Yeah.
There was a hand crank. I
No
believe.
hand crank.
Was that in an
Not
earlier
in the
mod?
production. That was in the very early
I saw a
model.
prototype with green and white.
Green and white, yeah.
Clamshell, kind of, would you describe?
Clamshell, but also flipped over, became a
Right.
tablet.
Yeah, and a handle, right?
And a handle, yeah.
Yeah. This is when, is that when you know you have great design, when somebody could pick it up once and remember that many pieces of it? Is that iconic? Is that what happens when you hit that note?
Right. So for me, to do, great design has to have an impact on you at different levels. So from 10 feet, 12 feet, 15 feet away, you see an icon, you see something that you recognize, you see something that attracts your curiosity, that gets your attention. As you come closer, you start discovering things. It's not just something flashy over there that's recognizable. It becomes something that an object with textures and with details and with an attention to materiality and tactility. So at 3 feet, there's other things that happen. At the touch, there's other things that happen. To me, I really try to design the products we work on to really interact with you at all these different levels.
So proximity to the object is a vector or variable for you in terms of scoping out the design.
It's very important, and all the way to what's most difficult to design, which are wearables. To something on the body with the right feel and fit, and with the right texture, and with the right colors, and so wearables is something that I've been practicing with Jawbone since the first headset. In fact, the first headset we presented was here at
I
D.
remember. I have it.
Yeah, it's a collectible.
And it's interesting when I think about your designs, I can describe them. That one was fat with a curved
shield.
But the shield had waves in it. I don't know if I'm describing it correctly.
The inside was very soft and very much about the body, about touching the body. The outside was more like a shield.
Yeah.
Very simple, no fancy details and flashing lights and all that kind of techie
and the
language.
singular buttons, or the button was in pushing down that shield. I remember the product so well. And then the second version of it, I had a gold one that had
we started to have fun
with like these indentations. Almost was like chainmail armor or something.
Yeah.
Certainly.
So texture and the way the materials reflects light has been a big part of the design language, because we have sometimes to use plastic, sometimes we can use metal, but the way to make a material look rich and look precious, even though it's just a regular material, is really by detailing it, and really by observing how it reflects light and how light travels over it. So you can create richness out of very little. Out of you can make it boring and flat, or you can give it a life of its own, something that hopefully you'll relate to, something that you'll touch, and it will cost you the same amount.
Do you have a technique for that? Do you have like lights in a box where you try to change the angle of the light and study it? Like, do you have like a little kit to do that? Like, is that like a...
We do a lot of prototyping. So we build, just like software, we build hardware kind of like software. We build tons of prototypes over and over and over. Of course, we have 3D CAD. We sketch a lot by hand, but we'll create sort of many generations of the same thing until we feel, it's there, it's perfect, it's delivering on everything that we want. And we do that, I do that with Hossein Rahman, the CEO of Jawbone, on an ongoing basis. We're constantly exploring product and materials and form, and because we know that our products, want to fit within our design language, but they also have to surprise and be unique and differentiated, and when we launch them.
How many designs and how many hours of design go into something like the Jambox, which I think a lot of people who watch the show own?
Yeah, the Jambox is you were asking me about proud moments. I mean, the Jambox is a proud moment because it really changed the way people are experiencing music in a way that is non-tethered. And also, it changed the way people are experiencing their media, because now it's on their phone and they can really share it. They can really watch a movie and share it with others, or play music and, throw their tracks on there. And do a little DJ battle, you know.
Like you were saying before, it kind of defines a paradigm shift. It defines an era of there was a dock, the Bose dock.
Yeah, the dock that took your that took your mobile devices and made it immobile. Right?
Yeah, it was
Suddenly
a
you're
bad
like
experience, and you're
stuck.
sitting there trying to
Trying
lean
to-
into it and,
yeah.
and spin the dial on the poor iPod.
Yeah.
But now I spent the last night here at a party, at a poker party here at the D conference.
There was a Jambox there.
We had the big Jambox,
Yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
sitting there with my Rhapsody, and I'm just playing songs, and then I'm handing it, I'm showing people,
Yeah.
and Bill Gurley and I are going back and forth with all this crazy Alabama rock music he likes, and playing all these crazy tracks. But a definitively different experience where the music is in my hand, but we're hearing it over here.
It's shared. I think before the Jambox, in many ways, music had become very, internalized. You know, a little bit selfish. You know, everybody with headsets on and the white buds, and that works in certain scenarios. You know, when you're on the bus or when you traveling or something. But then for all these other scenarios, you know, music is something that is expressed with others, you know, in a community. And it shifted that perception that digital music was purely this personal, selfish experience to one that is, open and shared.
You've created a lot of dance parties. That must feel good.
I know that we get a lot of pictures of people,
I've
at the
been in a
beach
lot
or
of hotel rooms and beaches and pools where somebody pulls out a Jambox and
Yeah.
people start dancing.
That's a good problem to solve.
Well, I mean, it must be really rewarding as a designer now to finally be appreciated by the industry, but also to see, these different moments with the laptop or
Right.
child and seeing students, around that in a
Yeah.
village in Africa, and then seeing people in a dance party just living it up.
I think for me, the reason why I get out of bed every morning and go to work and this stuff is hard work. I mean, making hardware.
Is it hard?
and software.
Is it hard
and
being a designer?
Firmware.
It sounds like it's fun.
Manufacturing. It looks
You're
fun
kind
on
of
the
smiling
outside.
at me, but is it hard to make a Jambox,
It's a
or is it fun?
lot of work.
Really?
I mean, those things can die. I mean, how many Jamboxes are there out there? Why somebody hadn't done it before?
How many
Because
did you?
it's hard.
How many
because it
prototypes
takes
did you make of that?
probably 50 to 70 prototypes. I mean,
Wow.
at least. I mean, we have a beautiful
What do you
archive.
do
in
with?
our
Yeah, I was
office.
going to say, what do you do with the other 69 of them?
They're in different forms. Some of them are cardboard, some of them are foam, some of them are hard models.
You don't have the heart to throw them away. You just stack them on
No,
shelves.
we've really. I love seeing the evolution, and
Yeah.
what we found out is actually the public loves to see that too.
Ah.
So many times on our projects, we will show products that are evolving and changing. We will show prototypes. People love to see that. Love to understand the reasons why we got from A to Z.
And somebody could make a portable speaker in a week of design in Shenzhen and just bang it out.
Yeah, I'm begging on. That still happens.
Spent how long? How many months did it take to make a Jambox?
So the Jambox was a very fast product for us.
Huh.
Fast development. We were very proud because we did it in about a year, a little bit less than a year.
That's fast.
That was fast. That's fast. That's considered
somebody-
very fast in this industry.
So some number of people put a year of their lives into the Jambox. Designers.
Absolutely.
That's incredible when
And
you
that's
think
one of
about
the
it.
shortest one. That's the shortest.
What's the longest you've put into a product? A single designer? And they're working on multiple projects?
No, the longest. That's a really good question. I think the longest was the leaf light I did with Herman Miller. It's the first LED light that a contract manufacturer launched, and the leaf light took about 6 years of work because we invented the technology in the office. We had to do the firmware, we had to do the wiring. A furniture company wasn't used to doing that sort of tech-like product. There was touch. There was touch on it before the iPod, if I may say. There was all this really cool technology in it, and that took a really, really long time. But the one up Upper Child took 2.5 years. The sail chair for Herman Miller, which is sort of generation after the Aaron chair, took.
Oh, you did the cell chair.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic. People love those.
Thank you.
I still got all Arions. I'm too cheap to upgrade. But I'll get there eventually.
They're both great chairs.
Yeah.
But we were able to use new technology, and so that was exciting. New materials and new technologies.
How much of being an elite designer is your design ability versus your material science and engineering ability?
I think it's really about the combination of all of it. As I said before, a great, good design has to really hit at every level, and we're really intent on not just delivering one part of the experience, but all of the experience. And so you have to, anytime you bring up one of the disciplines, a little bit higher, you realize, oh, well, my software has to get better here. My packaging has to get better. So you have to bring all these disciplines on a project at the same level, and so it has to be well-rounded, and
It's got to be maddening though, because you have the material science saying, oh, now we're capable of doing this lightweight material, but your design, do you start with the design and then say, oh, the materials don't match it, or, oh, we have this new material, what design could it support?
Right.
It almost seems to me impossible to know where to start. Is that really the alchemy of this, is knowing how to blend those two different disciplines of,
right.
you know?
It's a lot about right timing, right? Right timing of a technology that gets adopted, right timing of the material that's advanced and new, but usable and at a decent price. And so you have to constantly be observant of what's coming up, what's available now. We constantly talk to suppliers, and you also have to work with companies that are willing to take risks. So Herman Miller takes tremendous risks. I mean, the back of the sail chair, you can talk to them any day. The back of the sail chair is the most complex tool and the heaviest data to make that tool that they've ever experienced in their entire history.
Wow.
So you need to work with companies that are willing to go to something truly innovative. It's the same with the up.
Yeah.
This is the hardest project. It looks simple. It feels simple. It sort of comes on and off easily.
It feels organic. It feels like it's a snake or something. What was the inspiration?
It feels organic. Well,
it feels almost like an alien-like life form that just kind of wraps around you.
I like that, actually. I like that.
No, when I put it on, versus the, when you put it versus the Nike Fuel Band feels like a handcuff.
More rigid,
It's like a handcuff.
So,
I feel like I'm being it's Blade Runner. I've been,
right.
But this feels like Aliens.
This is something I've been experimenting with for 10 years, which is a mixture of materials that have memory. So I can squeeze it a bit, and I can change the shape and adapt it to my wrist, and a material that is pliable and feels sort of natural on the wrist. So this is a material and an assembly that we had been experimenting with for a long time, and then it's a massive endeavor to put sensors and batteries and connectors and in something that is soft and pliable.
Yeah.
With people's expectations.
How do you know you're not breaking the accelerometer in half, or whatever's in there?
Yeah.
Or the battery or whatever.
And so this from a manufacturing and
so would that be one where the material
science?
Yeah, the material science
complex.
drove a large portion of that.
Some of it, yeah. I mean, some of what drives us, though, whether it's Hossein and I, is really that magical, seamless experience for the user. So that's what drives you first, right? You're like, well, we want people not to feel it. We want people to forget it, to not, to wear it at night, to wear it 24 hours a day, to wear it, in all kinds of different conditions, right? When they're doing sports, when they're relaxing. So your goals are very human, and they're very much. They're not just then you go and find the material science, and you go and find the technologies that are going to deliver this. A lot of people make products by just looking at specs and specs and what's there now, and put the two together. We really start with experience. We really start with how is this going to change my life a little bit.
And rubber, I think that's what it is. I don't know what exactly the up is made out of, but the Jambox and the up both, I think,
They use a different type of rubber.
Okay, it's a
material.
different type of rubber. They both have this rubber, and to me, that I never thought that was the future, because I thought Gattaca and these hard woods and these hard stainless steels were the future. But it feels like the future now is this, like, kind of rubber again.
Pliability.
You
know, so physical response, softness, warmth.
Warmth,
right?
yeah.
Because it's a material that.
The Jambox feels warm because it's rubbery.
Yeah.
That's by design on the Jambox?
I mean,
Why
by
is the
design,
Jambox rubber?
by design, what I wanted to express with a Jambox isn't, you know, if I were to design, if I were to design sort of a classical speaker, I would have been, well, there's going to be 2 speakers in there, 2 round things in there. You know, we need to show where the speakers are, and then there's this woofer, and we have to do another thing, and then we're going to design around these 3 components. Instead, the way we thought about it is, again, from the human standpoint. What we started with is people are going to touch it like this. They're going to carry it. They're going to put it in their pocket, their bag.
Again, back to the use.
Back to the use.
I'm carrying it to the pool. I'm putting it on a shelf.
Yeah. And so the music is going to come out, and it's going to be, you know, great sound, and it's going to be, you know, kind of magical. You're not going to see the speakers moving and whatnot. But what you're going to get is something that responds to touch, something that goes with you, that you can carry, that you can live with.
All right. When we get back from the commercial break, I want to talk about the lock, the smart lock, which everybody's buzzing about here at the All Things D. So stick with us, and we're going to hear all about the lock after these very important messages. What a great episode we're having, and I want to take a moment to thank Scott Ed Walker of the Walker Corporate Law Group. He is a boutique. He has a boutique law firm that specializes in founders and startups. I know a lot of founders who've used him. He's awesome, and he believes in fixed fee pricing. What that means is you're not going to get that PDF every month from your attorney that you open up and it's like, okay, I could be in for $600, $6,000, or $60,000. You're going to know what your bill is going to be. And as an example of that, he worked with their client, Mighty Text, which got a great write-up in TechCrunch, by the way. And they engaged Walker Corporate Law for their $2,900 all-you-can-eat startup package, then used them for their seed financing, and then for their stock option plan. Additional services include mergers and acquisitions, licensing agreements, and terms of service and privacy policies. If you want to talk to the founder, Scott Ed Walker, call him directly, 415-979-9998. 415-979-9998. Scott's a great guy. I know him. He's been a tireless supporter of entrepreneurs and founders. He's at every event we do. And, you know, he takes on folks who are very early in their career, and he grows with them. I really appreciate him. And the attorneys who work with him all have 10, 20 years working at those big firms with those big, expensive offices. Now they're in cheaper offices, and they're just like grinding it out like the rest of us, building great startup businesses. Thank you, at Scott Ed Walker. You have been great to the program, such a loyal supporter of This Week in Startups and the Launch Festival. And, you know, you can email him directly, Scott at Walker Corporate Law. We will all thank you at Scott Ed Walker on Twitter. And let's get back to this awesome episode. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks to our sponsors for their support. Amazing interviews like this wouldn't be possible without them, you know, helping us. And gosh, it's great to have all these great sponsors who have made this show sold out for 6 months in advance. I'm so happy. You guys are the best. And to my loyal fans, always tweet and thank the sponsors because, God, this is a great interview, huh? This is an incrable conversation.
Yeah, it's good. We're going deep.
I feel like I'm really starting to understand. I never understood design. Like, I read the Jobs biography. I've read a lot about it.
Right.
But I feel like just as an entrepreneur myself, I have to understand design deeper. What would you say if you're an entrepreneur and I could watch a couple of movies or read a couple of books? How can I get my design sensibility up if I have no style and no design ability? I'm not saying I don't, but I'm saying most of these guys don't and gals don't.
I think reading the history of a company like Herman Miller is quite revealing, because doing great design, being an entrepreneur and doing great design with someone, it's going to have to be about putting yourself in a situation where you're going to share ideas, you're going to share, power in a sense over the product and maybe even a definition of what your company does, right? And so you have to be, on my side, it's the same. You know, as a designer, I have to trust, deeply my partners, that we're going to do great work, but we're also going to do great work that's commercially is going to be very successful, very viable, right? So it's very much, I mean, you can develop taste by observing, by looking at things, by touching them, by simply turning your attention to it. But the process of making great products, of building great brands, is going to be a process, meaning it's not going to be a straight line.
Is it messy sometimes? Does it include a lot of arguing and debating, hurt feelings necessarily? Because there are stories about that with Steve Jobs being a little hardcore with his designers.
But I think that's, I mean, in the case of Steve Jobs, it's with everything.
Sure, right.
I mean.
He was
It's
that
not
way
just
about
with
the
his
cafeteria or
designers.
a staircase.
So
Parking spaces.
I think once you get to kind of a certain age, I'm going to trust people. I'm going to trust that my technologist or my coder and whatnot is going to do their very best if we both have the same understanding of what it is that we're trying to achieve. What is the magical experience we're trying to create here, right?
So defining the user case, people don't do that enough, you think?
Yeah, defining why we're here. Why are we doing this? Why is this important work? And it doesn't matter whether you're packing stuff up and shipping, you're in the shipping room, or whether you're, the chief, coder, or whether you're designer or the CEO. Everybody has to sort of have the same idea of what it is that we're doing here and why it's important to them. And in many ways, great design happens when you can really partner on all the bits of the business, right? You have to understand all the parts of it.
And that requires trust, collaboration, talking.
Yeah.
Yeah. And clarity of mission, I'm kind of hearing there, like clarity of purpose.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And having done all these startups, and having worked in a lot of different situations, there is, to me, it's the discussion, it's the ideas that drive me, that give me, that influence me, that get me going in a sense. And I need to be able to receive ideas from others, and I need to be able to give ideas to others. But what's amazing is when suddenly there's an idea that the 3, 4, 5 people in the room can relate to, it's incredible the power that it will have. So when I say our designs are idea-driven, it's exactly that. Because 6 months later, we may not have spent a lot of time in the room with everybody who was in that room. And 6 months later, everybody's going to evaluate where we got with the design, with the UI, the UX, or the brand name, to how does it go back to that idea that all got us really excited 6 months ago. So the idea is what drives, the building blocks that design is going to build, in a business.
And you've had those moments of synchronicity, for lack of a better word, with teams. Is that the high for you? When
For me,
a team has got that synchronicity?
Absolutely. I mean, being able to see eye to eye and loving an idea together,
Right.
with other people in the team, and pursuing it, relentlessly. It's like being a kid. It's like being a kid and making up a game, and wanting to play that game that you came up with.
It's like a flow experience. Like
It is exactly what I would call it, a flow experience.
So let's talk about this experience. This, just holding this, I want it. So what am I holding? Is this a green LED?
There's a green LED. You'll
and this
see
red?
it. It's a little bit bright here, but
Yeah, the camera's
And
good,
so when the doors open,
So this is a door opener.
It's a smart lock.
Okay.
So this gets attached to the inside of your door only. The outside of your door remains the same. The handle and the lock on the outside of your
Okay.
door remains the same. All you're doing here is placing this on the inside of your door and connecting it to the lock.
How do you connect it to the lock?
So your lock has prongs that
Yeah.
come out, and this is what rotates the
Tumblers?
the tumblers, the
Yeah.
levers. And so we have a few attachments.
Yeah.
And those attachments fit in the back here. So this will work with 90% of door locks that you find at at
How
Home
hard is it
Depot
to
and-
install?
So you because we don't rely on power,
Mm-hmm.
we don't rely on your wireless network, we don't rely on Wi-Fi, we don't rely on cable or DSL. It's easy to install because all you have to do is attach the lock, remove the two screws that your thumb turn, the inside
Yeah.
part of your lock has, and place the mounting plate. I don't have the mounting
Yeah,
plate
yeah.
here. Place the mounting plate on the
Innards,
instead,
yeah.
and you attach the lock to it. And then all you have to do is pair, just like you pair your Jambox, pair the phone to the lock. And you only have to do that once, and it's only the owner of the house who has to do that.
Ah.
So here's what happened next. Let's say you're gonna, you after this interview, we've become really good buddies.
Yes.
And you're coming over
Sure.
for a barbecue.
Okay.
So what I'll do is I'll issue you a key. I'll essentially pick you out of my address book,
Yep.
and I'll send you a key. You'll receive this key, and you'll be able to walk into my house without even pulling your phone out of your pocket.
The door will just unlock.
The door will just unlock
Over Bluetooth or something?
over Bluetooth,
Got it.
6 feet away from the door.
Wow.
Yep.
And I can expire the lock that day. I can be like, yeah,
And,
Jason, you
we
can come
had-
over for the day.
Right, exactly. And
But your key expires at midnight.
you can have always a key, or I can remove the key, or I can schedule you. Let's say if you were a cleaning service
walker.
or a dog walker, I could say every Tuesday, Jason's got a key from 8 to 10 a.m. But
wow.
the lock is not going to unlock at any other time. Just Tuesdays.
How did you come up with this idea? It's a genius idea.
So this is a frustration. I like to work on problems that are universal.
Right.
I mean, when you sit down and you talk to people and you talk about their keys, or you ask them, everybody hates their keys.
Keys.
I hate
Where
keys.
are my keys?
Like
They're screwing up my suit.
I hate keys, right?
Too
that's
many
what
of them.
That's what we hear. So I've been working on Bluetooth products for a long time. Jason Johnson, my co-founder, has done a couple of security companies and used to be an expert in NFC and other technologies. And so we've been friends since TED a few years back, and we were brainstorming about door locks and the friction and the fact that we've been using these, I call them these sharp little pieces of metal, in your pocket for 200 years, and that hasn't changed. And yet, we trust our smartphones for our banking and for for all kinds of very safe kind of transactions.
Yeah. Private communications.
Private communications. And so as Bluetooth LE came up, we were considering, well, why don't we use NFC? It's like, okay, well, I have to pull my phone out of my pocket and tap the lock. That's not very magical. I may as well pull my keys out of my my bag. And so instead, we were like, well, what about if you could just walk to the door and it would unlock? And this is where, this is what I believe, which is technology should really be invisible. You shouldn't have to use it for very long for it to function, dozens of times a day in your home. So we set out to build, the most magical, easy, seamless, simple and social experience for a door lock.
It's gorgeous. It kind of feels unnecessarily gorgeous. You spent so much time making this beautiful. Why is it so beautiful? I mean, I feel like I want this on my desk or something.
Well, people actually take care of the hardware. The door handle.
Oh, yeah, that is kind of meaningful in a
especially
house.
in their front door. So it's important. We're making different colors and different finishes, so it matches different types of decor, light doors, dark doors, dark hardware, light hardware.
What's inside here?
So inside here you have a Bluetooth chip, a board. You have a motor.
Motor.
Because the motor turns.
Is it turning it by magnet?
No,
Oh.
it's just a kind of unique gear motor that we're using, and it has 4 AA batteries.
Got it.
And
How long may they last for? How long will that last for? The 4A battery?
between 6 and 12 months.
Oh, okay. So
And
no
when
big
you
deal.
every time you open the app, you will see where your battery level is.
Oh yeah, that could be a problem.
Right, so you will see
Battery's
it.
dying, you
And
gotta-
then if the battery is dying, we'll send you an email. We'll give you a link
Perfect.
to to order one on Amazon.
What do you think that'll retail for?
$199.
That's it?
Yeah. Very important, again, part of my process of thinking about design and business is to take technology and to sort of put it in the hands of many people. So it's not, most door automation, most home automation, systems are really for rich people.
And
like
I want Questron and this kind of stuff, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Exactly.
And it never works.
I want something that works under any condition, and I want something that's affordable. On the works part, I'll go back to we're not relying on your power, and we're not relying on your Wi-Fi, and we're not relying on your DSL, your cable.
Right.
So this works even when all that stuff doesn't work.
Power goes out, no problem.
Yeah.
It's independent.
Completely independent.
So brilliant. So this is another company, August, that you created.
August, yeah.
Now, it's the August Smart Lock, which, given my powers of deduction, when you name a company August and then you come out with the Smart Lock, that means you have other ideas that you'll do under the August brand. What does the August brand mean?
So the August brand, for me, is really about how you feel in the month of August. Generally, you feel, relaxed, worry less, comfortable. And to me, that's what technology should be in the home. Uncomplicated.
The most easygoing month.
The most easygoing month. I think generally people are pretty happy.
Yeah,
in
my
August.
August is like, nobody's at work in August, so then nothing's getting
Especially
done.
not in Europe.
Oh God, in Europe, forget it. Yeah, I was about to say this is a unique concept that in the
Right.
United States here people don't seem to have grasped yet.
Right.
So more easy living products is what you think.
Exactly. I think the technology should be invisible, and as I said, the best interfaces are the ones you never see. And in this case, past the setup, you don't pull your phone out of your pocket. You it doesn't feel like you're using a technology.
Right.
It just unlocks and relocks behind you.
And if I don't have my phone on me, my phone gets stolen, and I got to get in my house.
Yep.
Can I go to a web interface or something like that, or how do I?
So you can use your friend's phone to get in?
I just reinstall and put my password in.
For
the app.
Yeah, you go back to the app, to your own app. You can use a web interface. You can use a regular key. Again, we're not changing the key on the other side, the door lock on the other side. So there's many ways to to get it.
It's interesting. I had the same experience recently. I have a car called the Model S by Tesla.
I have one as well.
And you have the iPhone app for it. Do you have the iPhone app? Well, you didn't download it yet.
I haven't downloaded it yet.
There's an app.
Tell me more.
You can set your climate, and you can honk the horn and flash the lights.
Right.
So the car was lost. We were with my daughter. We're out of Disneyland. We're like, we know we're somewhere around here.
Right.
So I said, oh, wait a second. And I just started honking the app and the lights. And
Right.
I'm
But
like,
you
wow,
still-
we're controlling the app. I had
You
to take it
still
out of my
need-
pocket.
You still need that little key. And to me,
You can open, I think you can open it with your phone, though. But you have to press a button. It
right,
should be automatic.
It should be automatic, right?
They're going to have to program that. So you have one, too.
Yeah.
What do you think?
So
And what was the car you had? Let me guess your car before that. You were poor. I can see it. I'm going to try and guess your car.
I
You were a
bought-
Porsche guy before that?
No.
Range Rover guy?
11 years ago or so, I bought an Audi S4.
Okay, Audi.
I have a little family, and I'm a surfer, so I like to put a lot of stuff in the car. But I like a well-built and high-performance car too.
Sure.
So the Audi S4 is sort of the perfect mix. And when I bought that, I said, I'm going to take a 3-year lease, and in 3 years there'll be an electric car. Like my next thing is not going to be a gasoline car. It's going to be an electric car.
Sure.
Right? I'm a technology enthusiast, and I want to see change, and I don't see why it shouldn't happen. And it didn't happen. So I ended up buying the car.
Yeah. Wait another 3 years.
Well, another 7 years until the Tesla came out. And I needed a family car, so the Model S was the right one for me. So the performance of the car, of the Tesla, is really incredible. I mean,
Otherworldly.
It's fast. It handles the road incredibly well. And I think from that standpoint, they pretty much got it 100% right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interface?
So
Design? The big
to me-
touchscreen? The software?
So I like having a big a big touch screen.
Yeah.
I like having few buttons or no buttons
Yeah.
and being able
Just
to
the
control
hazards and the
control
window.
everything there. But to me, there is still, when it comes to like user interface, it's still yet to be invented how quickly and how simply I would navigate. The functions of a car, while I'm driving. I think there's, it's the first of a large screen
Right.
in a car.
So
And
going to the controls on the bottom left and then trying to find the brightness of the sunroof.
Right. Oh, closing and opening windows. I think there's a lot of magic that's going to be invented in the space. The good news is I'm on the beta, and you probably are too. So
Yeah,
I'm
over the air.
I'm downloading. Every week I'm downloading a new version of the software, and I love that because someday I may come into my car and the whole thing's going to look completely different.
What are your influences outside of design that impact your design? Movie, music,
I mean,
anything.
The art world, music, movies. I mean, all of that is very influential as long as it's about ideas. When it's purely about entertainment, there's nothing wrong with entertainment, but I like to be taken on a journey.
Yeah.
I like to explore, the limits and the dangers and the positives and negatives of an idea.
Right.
And then I can sort of take that back into my work.
Which are there movies that have done that for you? Blade Runner or Prometheus or Alien or what? I don't know.
Well, Blade Runner.
I just did.
You
I just did 3 Ridley Scott films.
Either what?
I saw 3 Ridley Scott films. Aliens, Blade Runner, or Prometheus.
Blade Runner definitely did it for me. What's interesting about Hollywood in general is that their vision of technology and their vision of the future, is always has a negative bend to it, right?
It's
like,
kind of dystopian.
It's
Dark.
dystopian. It's everything negative that could be happening does happen. I think in Silicon Valley and San Francisco, we live in a world where, it's utopian.
Right.
We have a positive outlook towards it.
Right.
It doesn't. It's not good for making movies, but it's good for making things that people will use in their everyday life.
Was there something in Blade Runner that you particularly were drawn to, other than the Baxter Building where Sebastian lived?
Yeah. The whole notion that there's a society divided by, people who are made and people who are human. This is something that we will probably experience in our lifetime.
That might be at the tail of our end that we'll have to figure out if we're replicants or not.
Right.
Well, listen, this has been an amazing discussion. Can people get this yet, the August, and they order it?
So they can place a reservation
okay.
On the website.
Got it. What's the website?
August.com.
You got August.com?
We did. It was important.
That's a $250,000 domain. That's a $500,000 domain.
No, it was.
You got it for less?
A lot less, yeah.
Oh, you got lucky. That's incredible, dude.
Yeah, that's a good name.
August.com.
So you go to
Wow.
August.com and you can see.
What's next? Refrigerator?
I
What has to be
don't think
fixed
we're gonna
next?
make a refrigerator. I mean, what's
The
funny?
nest has already been done. You think you're going to make another nest?
No,
doesn't need to.
there is a lot of things that you can do around
Lights.
home automation and alarm, and I mean, there's a lot there.
The
right?
alarm and lights seem to be just low-hanging fruit.
There's a lot of different things. So we want to start with door entry. We want to do it really well, we want to allow people to enter and give access to their home in a really easy and social way. I think some of that will be integrated in other products. Products you wear, products that are around you.
And what do you think about wearables? I mean, you have one on now. You heard Tim Cook basically said they're going to do a watch. I mean, was that your take on it?
Well,
You've done work for Apple.
I've done work for Apple
Long
time ago
okay.
in
Yeah.
97, 98,
Okay.
99.
That you believe they're going to do that bangle watch thing, right? Because they have the curve technology, patents, and everything. You're in on this stuff.
Yeah.
They're doing it.
I mean, I imagine I think they should, go into wearables because wearables are going to be a huge category. From health products that are wearable to lifestyle products that are wearable to, products that maybe give you more information. I think wearables are the biggest challenge. Not, as I said, it's very complex to make sensors and technology work when it's on the body, and on the body, your expectation is your traditional watch. I mean, that's a pretty high bar.
Right.
From at every level, style, reliability.
God, they're so custom, right? Like your watch and my watch, the chances of them ever being similar are zero.
Yeah, exactly. So wearables, I'm a huge believer, and it's a great category. I'm also a believer in products that are around you, so that know what's going on, know who is there, and monitor and give you the right experience for specifically for you.
What would be an example of that? That was so cryptic.
Well,
like a room sensor that knows we're here?
Something that's unique about August is that we know whether Jason came into the house or Yves came into the house.
Oh, okay. So now the music is set, the lights are set.
So there's a lot that we can do with that.
Yeah. Oh man, you just blew my mind. It's like when you get in the Tesla and it's got the profiles of like drivers.
Right.
And you set
without having to pick the profiles.
Why do you have to switch them? It should be connected to my phone in the fob.
It should know.
It should know. And when you pull up on your GPS, it knows it's your gate, and the home link drops down. Did you set that?
Right.
So that's pretty genius. And I was like, why doesn't it open your gate automatically? And then I was like, oh, it's dangerous. The dogs could run out. They may not want the liability. Or if you drive by your house and you don't stop, and if it automatically opens your door, your gate would open because you just have to drive by your home, and that would not be acceptable.
Well, it would. There's on our lock, for example, we have settings. So you can set it yourself. You can say, well, after I leave, I want the auto unlock to come back on in 5 seconds, or I want it to come back on in 2 minutes.
Right, depending on if you live in Palo Alto or in San Francisco. Right, like if you're in a...
Right. There's a lot, it's really about giving people control, amazing control, and giving them choices for these products to really adapt to the way they live.
Just on the wristband thing, the curved glass, since you study a lot of the science and stuff that's out there and you're up on the material stuff, are those curved screens going to be in our lives anytime soon?
It's interesting because curved glass is a technology that people have been interested in a long time, right? I mean, curved displays, curved glass.
Everybody's got the scroll thing.
Samsung has a curved TV.
Yeah.
I think that requires a few good brainstorms because people aren't exactly sure what to do with curved glass yet. We know we can make it. It's essentially a new material, a new tool. What do you do with it? I've met a few people and a few companies that are scratching their heads. What are we going to do with curved glass? I'm sure there's an awesome use for it, but we don't know yet.
Interesting. I think like a conference room table that's curved with the people around you or something. I don't know. You seen somebody work? You work on that one?
We got to brainstorm on this.
I know. I feel like the bangle is something I want. Like I want to have like a Wonder Woman kind of bracelet, like a Hercules, and I want to be able to just turn it like this and have. When I put my wrist up, I think
I've seen that in a movie.
Yeah, what it reminds me of is Star Wars.
Right.
Lando Calrissian, those guys.
Right.
Lando Calrissian would turn his thing and he just presses some stuff on the inside of something. That's what I want. I don't know. You think Apple's got a lot left in them? Now that Steve's not around? Because people are saying $400 stock. They haven't come out with an iPad or iPhone-like product. It's over. Right. Is it over or not?
I think it's a great question. I think the talent is still in there. I think both the design and technical and software talent is still there. What's amazing with Apple for me is the culture is very strong. The joke was always that Apple has only a small design team of at the time, I don't know, a few years ago, 15, 20, 30 people, but 5,000 people are working for that team because everybody is. Whether you're an engineer or a coder or a developer, everybody really is, trying to build things that are extraordinary. And that's hard to find. You don't find that in many places. I think that culture is certainly going to survive.
Yeah. So they got a couple left. Last question, Google Glass. Is it an April Fool's joke? Is it? Would you ever wear them? I mean, what do you think? Because there's people walking all over the conference with them.
Yes.
What do you think when somebody
you see them at tech conferences? You do.
When they walk up to you with that on their head, do you just think this person's an idiot? Be honest.
So I mean, I love technology experiments. I mean, I think we should experiment. I think we should try new things. I think having, like in some instances, having a display on your head makes a ton of sense. If I'm cooking in the kitchen or if I'm chasing the kids and want to take pictures of them, a whole lot better than running with a phone.
If I'm an ambulance driver, I'm a doctor.
Right.
I'm in the military.
So there are some significant use cases.
Right.
And for me, I would look at those use cases and I would build the case for Google Glass based on very, very significant, very important,
Right.
Very human need-based use cases. That's where I personally probably would start.
Okay. You have a dinner party of 8 people. 2 people show up with these things on their heads, and you sit down for dinner. What do you think?
I don't think that works, and that's not the right use case for the product.
Right.
I mean,
you
there's
tell them
something
to take it off, right? Like,
there's something that is very humanly perceptible. If I look at you right now,
Right.
I will be able to tell exactly whether the focus of your pupil of your eye
Right.
is on me or is on this microphone.
right.
I can tell.
Immediately.
It's in the same line of sight.
Right.
It's incredible how our eyes and the rest of your facial expression and everything communicates whether we're being attentive here to each other,
Right.
or not.
Right.
And I think these are the kind of places where I would think hard about how that's an important kind of human moment, and you probably don't want something in between that.
Why would you
moment.
throw away that great human moment? I tried to have conversations with somebody today who's wearing them.
Right.
And I think you take them off because
Right.
I can't tell if you're videotaping me
Right.
or if you're paying attention or if
Right.
you're tweeting.
But unfortunately, I have to say that human moment has been compromised in numerous ways already, right?
The smartphone.
We pull our phone out of our pockets and we're like, I'm talking to you and I'm like, sorry, I need to check something up. I mean, unfortunately, this happens all the time. I do it, you do it,
But it's
everybody
not
does it.
persistently on my head. I mean, we're talking about slapping an iPhone on the side of your head. Like,
Yeah,
this just seems
yeah.
abnormal. I think you're exactly right. This is a specific use case device, and people are wearing it like it's a smartphone, this sort of remote control of your life. It's not the remote control of your life. You shouldn't have something between you and the greatest technological invention, another human being.
Yeah. So I mean, I admire. Again, I admire kind of trying things and
Right.
putting them out there and seeing what happens. And maybe that's the exercise. Maybe it's
Yes.
we make 5,000 of them. We see how people use them,
Right.
and we find like 10 use case scenarios where this is going to change lives, maybe save lives. Right.
Right.
You mentioned surgery, and we refine the product through these use case scenario channels, and later we create other devices that go reach other use cases with different form factors and different technologies. That would
Yeah, that
that
feels
is-
like a great
it's
experiment.
Maybe that's what it is.
It's hard to know what Google's doing. It's a great experiment. All right, listen, we could go on all night. We got to wrap up. You got people telling you got to be somewhere. This has been an amazing, amazing discussion. Thank you so much. And everybody can follow you at YVESBEHAR. YVESBEHAR. Go to August.com and order this lock and set it up. It's gorgeous, and this is going to change your life. And just think, like, once you get this thing set up, you never have to go make keys. I mean, it pays for itself in a year.
Pretty quickly.
Because, what if just one time a year you have to go let somebody in? That happens to me
That's
once
a lot of time.
month.
That's a lot of time.
Hours of my life with this nonsense. And
Yeah.
then this saves that whole thing, and you might not get robbed. And you have an audit trail of when people are leaving the
You know
house.
exactly who came in, who
Oh,
got out.
that's
You have
great.
a whole log.
I have these guys come to my house to clean the pool. I got separate keys,
Right.
different keys, different doors, and then somebody gets fired and somebody acted a little bit weird. We fire somebody.
And it's hard to ask for. It's hard.
Oh no,
in-
my
in
wife would ask
every-
for the keys back.
In every situation of life, it's hard to ask for the
A key
artifact,
back.
for the key back.
Oh, can you imagine your ex-girlfriend or boyfriend hey, can I
No,
get a
it's
key
as
back?
easy as defriending.
Oh, jeez. No, it's always the same case, which is like my wife change all the locks. I'm like, how much to change the locks?
How much does that cost?
She goes,
Yeah.
only $400.
Yeah.
Only $400. We did this last year. All right, listen, a great discussion, and
Thank you.
Thank you to the sponsors, and thanks to Kara and Walt for allowing me to do these great interviews here. It's an amazing event, All Things D. If you have never gone, well, it's sold out. You're probably never going to go. But seriously, if you are a baller in the industry, apply wait 2 or 3 years, and then eventually they'll probably get you in. It's a pretty good conference. You've been coming for years.
It's been great.
All right, we'll see everybody next time on This Week in Startups. Bye-bye.